So, according to the Jewish faith, God promised the Holy Land to Abraham and his descendants. This is mentioned in the Torah. It's mentioned in Tanakh, specifically the 15th chapter of Genesis and number 18. So God said, and I quote, "On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abraham, saying, to your descendants, I will give this land from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river of Euphrates." So God promised Abraham and his descendants to take the piece of land from Egypt all the way to Iraq, as we know it now, the river of Euphrates. Abraham had two sons. He had Ishmael, his firstborn, and Isaac, his secondborn. Ishmael and his descendants took the land from the river in Egypt to the river of Euphrates in Iraq. It happened because Prophet Muhammad is a descendant of Ishmael, the firstborn of Abraham. So Ishmael, the firstborn of Abraham, from his descendants came Muhammad and his followers. Arabs, who are the descendants of Ishmael, used to live in this piece of land called Quraysh, in a tribe called Quraysh, and they lived in the Arab Peninsula. Very primitive tribe living in this piece of land. Most of them live very primitive life. Most of them are shepherds, and the higher status of them were merchants. They lived for centuries in this land. Then, when the revelation happened to Prophet Muhammad and he became the prophet of Islam, his followers started to, they took the faith of Islam. And in less than 30 years, this primitive tribe that has no money, no power, was able to conquer the great empires at that time. They were able to conquer Roman Empire, Persian Empire, Byzantine Empire, in addition to other kingdoms in the area. In less than 30 years, this piece of land from Egypt, from river of Egypt to the river of Euphrates, came under the Muslim and Arab rules, and they stayed in this land happily ever after till today. So the descendants of Ishmael, the firstborn of Abraham, took the land. So God fulfilled his promise to Abraham, and his descendants were able to take the land from Egypt to Iraq and beyond. They took this land, they make it their own, and they stay there happily and safely ever after till today. So God fulfilled his promise. That's what mentioned in the Torah. Who said that he promised this land to Isaac and denied the land to Ishmael? And let's say that God promised the land to Isaac and Jacob. Why didn't he give it to them as easy as he did to Ishmael and their descendants? Ishmael and his descendants took the land in 30 years. But look at Israeli now. They cannot take the land for 75 years. They try to take this little piece of land, which is called, which is Palestine originally. This little piece of land they cannot take for 75 years, and they're trying hard. But we cannot say that they live safely and happily on this land, like the descendants of Ishmael live on the big piece of land happily ever after. So for 75 years, Jews are struggling to get this piece of land, and they made everything possible to take the land that they can't. Massacres, bloodshed, confiscation, you name it. Every single sin was convicted on this land to take the land as God promised. So if God promised you the land, why didn't he make it easy for you to take the land? As easy as he made it to Ishmael and their descendants. Why does it have to be a struggle for you, and you have to go all through these sins and kill and bloodshed and confiscate and expel people from their land? Why does it have to be so difficult and so sinful to take the promise of God? If God promised you the land, why didn't he give it to you as easy as he did with the descendants of Ishmael? Can you answer this question?